Universal grammar. Theoretical scenarios for the second language learning. Now, how do the principles of universal grammar apply to the second language learning? Now, if we assume that what the universal grammar researchers are saying is true, and children do have in their mind a blueprint for a language structure, and that enables them to learn their first language effortlessly, how does it relate to the learning of the second language? Given the truth of universal grammar, we can have two possibilities. Number one is that the second language grammars are constrained by universal grammar principles. So the same principles are applied to the learning of the second language. The second is that the second language grammars are not constrained by universal grammar parameters or principles. If the first possibility is correct, that is, the second language grammars are constrained by universal grammar, then we have a number of possibilities within that also. So we can say that when the learners are learning a language, they start off with parameter setting or beginning with the structures of their first language. And then when they learn a second language, on their way to learning, they gradually reset those parameters, those things that are different in the second language that they are learning. The other possibilities are that they have full access to universal grammar in their mind directly. That is, they don't have to refer to the first language, and they directly can access the universal grammar present in their mind, and that access is full. And then another possibility is that yes, they do have this universal grammar module in their mind, yet their access to that is limited. So they don't have the full access to universal grammar in their mind, but they have this first language to begin with, and especially they don't have access to the functional categories. Now, let me remind you what functional categories are. We said functional categories in lexicon, for instance, are different from the content words, that is verbs, adjectives, and nouns that are there in every language. However, functional categories might be different. That is the use of and the, and in Urdu the use of ka, ki. These are all functional categories of a language. Now, the second main scenario can be that universal grammar does not constrain second language. So, that would mean that learners actually do not resort to the universal grammar in their mind. Rather, they learn the second language on the basis of the basic principles of or the mechanisms of learning which are accessible to them as human beings. So this would mean that there is a fundamental difference between the first and the second language. And it is this fundamental difference that the learners come up and make their own wild languages, which are different from their first language and also different from their second language, which they are learning. And this would also mean that only first language principles and parameters are available, and this does not apply to the second language. And that is because researchers who come from this perspective would say that there is no way that you can reset the parameters that you have learned. So you can't undo the learning that has taken place in the mind.